we go. All right, and thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm happy to introduce Joanne Smith, and I'll just gonna read out a little introduction here of Joanne. Joanne is a graduate of the Institute of Holistic Nutrition in Toronto and holds a degree in psychology from York University, as well as a diploma in radio and television broadcasting from Seneca College. As a certified nutritional practitioner, she runs a successful nutrition business called Fruitful Elements, specializing in providing optimal nutritional health for people with disabilities with special interest in spinal cord injury. Joanne has a spinal cord injury as well herself for, I guess you can say, it says 25 years here now, Joanne, but how many years would it be?
Oh, we're pushing 30 now.
Pushing 30.
Yeah.
And she was a host and producer of 2 national television programs and the Gemini award-winning CBC show Moving On and Accessibility in Action. And she also received the King Clancy Award in 2006 and was inducted into the Terry Fox Hall of Fame in 2007. And received the Gabriel Award in 2008. So we're very blessed to have her here from Toronto, well, Ontario, I guess. And I will give it to you, Joanne. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. So thanks, everybody, for coming online here. So as Terry said, I am a nutritionist. And I really specialize in my practice on working with people with neurological conditions, primarily brain injuries and spinal cord injuries. And just to give you a little more background on myself, as Terry and I just said, I was injured almost 30 years ago in a car accident. And immediately following my injury, I had horrific neuropathic pain, a lot of fatigue, digestive dysfunction, horrible headaches. And I never made the connection that maybe some of these secondary health complications were happening because of what I was eating. So I kept eating the exact same foods that I was eating pre-injury. And finally, after about 10 years of living like this and being prescribed tons of different medications to address these secondary health complications, I got fed up and I figured there had to be a better way of dealing with this. And I was also really worried about the side effects of the medication on my liver and everything else. And I figured, there had to be a better way. So I tried, different forms of therapy and meds. And I eventually thought, all right, change my diet. And it's incredible the differences I experienced. I had about, I'm going to say 90% decrease in my neuropathic pain, almost got rid of all my headaches. I had better energy. I almost just like 10 pounds melted off of me. My tendonitis in my shoulders disappeared. I just felt better and I actually was looking better. All the redness in my face went away. So I thought if I was able to have these effects and on these great benefits of changing my diet, then maybe I could help others going through the same thing. So I went back to school and became a nutritionist, specifically to focus in this area, because I really felt it was missing in my rehab. We had all the other therapies except nutrition. So I knew it was kind of a missing piece of the puzzle there. So when I was in school and studying to become a nutritionist, what I was really quite shocked about is despite the prevalence, the awareness, and the negative consequences of all these secondary health complications that we all pretty much have experienced, some of them, there was limited information on nutrition and the impact on how to prevent, address, and manage these conditions. So let me see, get this slideshow working here. Hold on, why isn't it going down now? There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna say about 7 years ago, myself and another nutritionist came together to write a book specifically on nutrition and people with spinal cord injuries, and it's called Eat Well, Live Well with Spinal Cord Injuries. And we wanted to write this book to address each secondary health complication. she was an able-bodied nutritionist, but her nephew also had a spinal cord injury. So her and I used to meet for coffee once in a while and pick each other's brains about how you're addressing this, how are you doing that. We kept saying, there should be a book on this, and there isn't one. And then eventually we thought, you know what, we're going to write one. So we did. So we actually went to the Paralyzed Veterans Association in the States, and we asked them for funding to write this book, and they did, which was great. So this is the first book ever written specifically on nutrition for people with spinal cord injuries. And in this book, there's 16 chapters. Each chapter focuses on a specific secondary health complication. And when we were researching the book and starting to write it, we did a lot of consumer feedback and about what people wanted and how they wanted the information laid out. And we kept getting the same information as they don't care about like the background, but people said, if I have a pressure sore, I want to know how to take care of it. Just give me the information, 1, 2, 3, 4, what do I need to do? And so we took all this feedback, and this is how we laid the book out. Each chapter has 3 sections. The first section, for example, bladder infections, explains what the condition is and the factors that contribute to it after injury. And then to give you a strong understanding of how nutrition can help prevent, address, and manage the health issue, the role of specific nutrients, whether it be foods, supplements, or herbs, are discussed. And then the second section contains easy to prepare, nutrient-dense recipes that cater to each the condition and include a lot of the nutrients that we've talked about. And then the last section is a supplement chart with all the nutrients we detailed in that chapter. And it's a quick, easy reference for you to find out what foods these nutrients are found in, and if we're recommending a supplement, what the dose is, and any contraindications that you should be aware of. So our hope in writing this book is that we could provide information to people on the really important role that nutrition plays in our overall health, and also hopefully inspire future research in this area. But most importantly, is to give people the information to empower themselves to have greater control over their own health and prevent a lot of these secondary health complications from happening in a cost-effective, easy, and practical way. So Terry asked me to talk about 2 secondary health complications today. So what I'm going to go over in the next probably 50 minutes are weight loss and pressure sores. I'm going to walk you through what you should do to help prevent or manage these conditions. So to get started, I just want to do a little more background about this because I'm sure most of you have been through the rehab process. And if you've gone through rehab and acute care, you know nutrition has not played a significant role in your long-term health or rehabilitation process, right? Right. And this is often reflected in the questions we're asked when we first go to our healthcare providers. One of the first things we're often asked is, what are you taking, right? What meds are you on? What have you stopped? What's new? What's not asked often is, what are you eating? And that's equally important. Yeah, I'm rarely ever asked that. And yet we know there is a huge link between diet and disease. It's been well established through research, more on the able-bodied population, but we know there's a connection there. And so it's important for anybody to be careful of what they're eating, but even more so if you have a spinal cord injury, you really need to be conscientious of what you're eating, and here's why. So some spinal cord injury facts. It is so common for people with spinal cord injuries to have poor diets post-injury for several reasons, and they also experience nutrient deficiencies for several reasons. Change in economic status. For a lot of people, they can't go back to their same job. A lot of people have difficulty getting out. Transportation and mobility limitations prevent people from getting out and buying healthy food, in addition to the economic changes. There's also change in digestive function. We all know that our digestive systems are compromised and they function very differently. And we actually do not break down and absorb our nutrients as well as we used to. Because of dexterity issues, we may also have difficulty cooking, chopping, prepping food, right? And also when you're under stress, which a lot of us are under after injury, we reach for sugar-laden foods because it's comfort food, right? So for a lot of these reasons, people have poor diets and nutrient deficiencies, okay? So here is a chart of nutrients that a lot of people's spinal cord injuries are commonly deficient in. Vitamin A, we need that for immune health and skin health. Vitamin B2, B9, B12 are important for energy production and for nerve health. Vitamin D, of course, for bone health. We're so prone to osteoporosis. Vitamin E is a very powerful antioxidant, very good for cardiovascular function. And cardiovascular disease, #1 killer of people with spinal cord injuries. Calcium, again, of course, for osteoporosis. Chromium is a micro mineral that's very important in helping to maintain weight. Magnesium, again, helps support cardiovascular function. Zinc, important for immune and skin health. Fiber, of course, can help with our bowel function and routines. And EFAs are essential fatty acids that are really important for joint health, heart health, bowel health, everything. I can't say enough about essential fatty acids. So we are commonly deficient in all of these nutrients, which is going to affect our overall health. Okay, so together, all of these factors that contribute to poor diet and nutrient deficiencies can contribute to the development of common, recurring, and potentially life-threatening secondary health complications. And it is estimated that the average person with a spinal cord injury living in the community experiences 7 secondary health complications a year. That's a lot. So if your body is dealing with 7 extra health complications every year, you need more nutrients to support your overall health. Here's an example of just some of the secondary health complications we experience: constipation, bowel obstruction, diarrhea, bladder infections, obesity, pressure sores, osteoporosis, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, pain, sleep disorders, digestive dysfunction, and many more. So you really want to prevent these from happening as much as possible. And when you're living with all of these, 7 of them, often simultaneously, it puts an extra burden and demand on your body for calories, protein, vitamins, and minerals. So eating the right foods becomes even more crucial to meeting your body's increased nutrient needs right after injury, through rehab, and over your lifetime. And food does have the amazing ability to restore balance in your body, enhance your body's inherent healing potential, boost your overall health, target the root causes of health issues, not just mask the symptoms as a lot of medications do. It fulfills the higher need for nutrients that people with spinal cord injuries have, and it replenishes nutrients depleted by many of the medications that we take, such as antacids or antibiotics. So it can help prevent and manage many of the secondary health complications, 2 of which we're going to talk about shortly. But something else that eating well does is it helps you maintain control over your health and over your life. We've all been there, done that. When you've sustained a spinal cord injury, we've lost a certain part of control over part of our bodies, whether it be our arms, our legs, our hands. And when you eat well, you're really maintaining control over other body functions. And it is a choice that you make, but it's a choice you can make to ensure that all your other body functions and systems are working well so that you can live to your fullest potential. And that's why this is just so important. So it's really hard to motivate people sometimes to eat well long-term and consistently. But if you can look at it as something you can still control, and that's something I deal with a lot with my clients, is, they feel like throwing in the towel, they've given up, they're like, well, why bother? What difference will this make? It can make a huge difference in preventing all those secondary health complications I just mentioned and give better quality of life, okay? I will, as you will see, talk a lot about supplements, and I use a lot of supplements in my practice for a number of reasons, and here's why. People with spinal cord injuries, and this has been shown in studies, have an increased demand for specific nutrients during times of stress and when addressing certain secondary health complications. So for example, if you have a pressure sore, you need to increase more protein. And if you don't have pressure sore, you should be eating about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. But if you have a pressure sore, you need to increase that to 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And for a lot of people, that's a lot of eating protein, steak, chicken, fish, eggs, a lot of chewing involved there. So sometimes it's just easier to increase that protein by drinking it through a protein shake. So that's one reason, one example of a supplement that I use very often for my clients with pressure sores. But also following trauma or illness, people often experience compromised digestive systems, which can lead to a decrease in nutrient absorption. So one example is reduced stomach acid production, which occurs when taking certain medications. And when under significant stress, your stomach acid production decreases, which affects your protein breakdown and absorption, as well as your mineral breakdown and absorption. So you need to optimize your digestion absorption, and something I might use for somebody is something like a digestive enzyme to help those functions. Another reason I use supplements is food alone may not be able to provide the nutrient levels required for therapeutic effect. What I mean by that is a lot of people have digestive issues and gut problems, and I want to enhance their intake of something called L-glutamine, which is an amino acid from protein. But in order to get the amount of L-glutamine you need to heal your gut, you need to be drinking about 1 liter of cabbage juice a day. Guaranteed no one I know, including myself, would do that. So if you take a supplement of L-glutamine, you can increase it. Another reason I use supplements is preference. I use a lot of fish oils. I've asked people to eat fish 3 to 4 times a week. A lot of people don't like fish. So instead of eating fish 3 or 4 times a week, take a fish supplement. And that way you're getting the essential fats that your body needs. Another thing is certain medications, which are absolutely necessary for us to take, can deplete certain nutrients in our body. And I'll give you an example. I was saying a minute ago that cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of people with spinal cord injuries. And one of the things that we often experience is high LDL, bad cholesterol levels when you have a spinal cord injury. So a lot of people I work with are put on statin drugs to lower LDL, bad cholesterol. What statin drugs do, though, is they also interfere with the production of something called coenzyme Q10. It's a compound in your body, and it's stored 80% of it in your heart because your overall cardiovascular system needs coenzyme Q10. But if that's being brought down by statin drugs, you're affecting your overall cardio system. So you want to take a supplement of coenzyme Q10. And a lot of physicians that I know and work with, when they prescribe clients statin drugs like Lipitor now, they will also prescribe a supplement of coenzyme Q10. So that's great. So that's why I use a lot of supplements. So hopefully that's clear. There we go, because you'll see when I go through the protocols, a lot of supplements involved there. So to demonstrate now, let's get to the good stuff. To demonstrate the important role nutrition can play in helping to address, manage, and prevent secondary health complications, we're going to look at 2 nutritional protocols that I've used on 2 clients with spinal cord injuries. And the first one that I'm going to look at is addressing weight gain and preventing obesity. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a protocol that I gave for somebody with a spinal cord injury and how it helped them. Okay, so some spinal cord injury facts first. Weight gain and being overweight is one of the most common secondary health complications. 65% of people with spinal cord injuries are overweight, with 1/3 of these being obese. When you are overweight or obese, it contributes to other serious health complications like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, reduced life expectancy, joint problems, pain, high blood pressure, stress on the kidneys, and hormonal imbalances. So here's a client case, somebody that I worked with. He was a 50-year-old individual, C5, 6, 7 incomplete quadriplegic. And 3 years post-injury, he had gained 40 pounds and developed a very serious pressure sore on his coccyx. Okay, let me back up a little bit. I just want to go through some factors that contribute to weight gain for people with spinal cord injuries. The reason we are so prone to gaining weight is change in body composition. We have a decrease in muscle mass, increase in fat mass. We have a reduced physical activity level, which is a reduced ability to burn off a lot of our calories. Our metabolism also drops 14 to 27% immediately following injury. We also experience numerous hormonal changes. For example, we experience a drop in growth hormone and testosterone, which is associated with a loss of lean muscle tissue and an increase in weight. We also tend to have an increase in cortisol following injury, which also contributes to weight gain. We also experience poor carbohydrate metabolism and poor glucose intolerance. And that leads to an increased risk of insulin resistance and getting glucose from the bloodstream into the cells, where it should be utilized as fuel, but instead for us, it's not utilized, it's stored as fat. And another issue that I deal with is people with spinal cord injuries continue to eat the same portion sizes and calories that they did pre-injury, and we actually need less calories following injury, so you actually need to cut back the actual amount of food you're eating. So those are many, many, many of the reasons why we are at such risk for gaining weight. So if there are weight issues, this is what I recommend. First and foremost is increase protein. Protein does not raise insulin levels the same way that carbohydrates do. It helps to curb appetite because it takes longer for the body to break down and digest the carbohydrates, and it helps you maintain lean muscle mass. Healthy sources of protein are things like fish, chicken, turkey, nuts, seeds, legumes, and lentils. Okay? So nuts and seeds are great for snacks. You can keep a bag in your car, in your bag, or your knapsack. Lentils, legumes, you can have hot or cold as soups, as salads, throw them in curries, stir fry with them even, throw a can of chickpeas in with your stir fry. And some of the best fish are the oily ones, things like sardines, tuna, salmon, mackerel, and halibut, okay? The next thing you really want to do, because we have poor carbohydrate metabolism and poor glucose uptake, is reduce your refined carbohydrates, okay? All carbs, whether it is pasta, bread, rice, are broken down into sugar once they're digested. And processed carbs, and what I mean like that is white bread, white pasta, white rice, cookies, cakes, things like that are broken down very quickly, and it raises your blood sugar levels very quickly. And if your blood sugars raise quickly and your insulin raises quickly, then if that sugar is not going into your cells to be burned off as fuel, it's going to be stored as fat. And what goes up must come down. If your blood sugar goes up quickly, it crashes quickly, and your body's response to get more refined carbs quickly to get your blood sugar levels back up. And that's when you get this whole kind of up and down wave of unbalanced blood sugar levels and insulin levels that can lead to weight gain. I hope that makes sense, everybody. So what you want to do is increase your complex carbohydrates. What I mean by complex carbohydrates are carbohydrates that have lots of fiber in them, because fiber slows down the digestion of these carbs, and therefore you get more of a slow release of that sugar into your bloodstream, and you don't get those spikes of blood sugar levels and insulin. So things like brown rice, vegetables, quinoa, legumes, whole grain bread, whole grain pasta, those are the things you want to go for. Get rid of sugar, get rid of pop, cakes, cookies, and go for all the stuff with the fiber in it. Really, really important. This is the big one for spinal cord injury. And it's one of the hardest ones to change because we've all grown up on bread, pasta, rice. It's quick, easy, cheap, and convenient. So when I say to people, reduce this, people look at me and say, well, what am I going to eat? You're going to replace it with legumes and lentils, lots of vegetables, quinoa, lots of fiber. Okay, so instead of having rice, for example, white rice, have quinoa. So, okay. The next thing I want you to do is increase healthy fats. Good fats help burn bad fats, and eating good fats doesn't make you fat. Okay, they really do help you burn fats. It helps curb cravings, and it suppresses appetite because it gives us a sense of satiety. We all know having a nice piece of steak with good fat in it is really delicious and yummy because of fat in it. So it's not bad to have some saturated fats once in a while, but also get lots of good fats in there from fish, coconut oil, ground flax seeds. And so you can see a list there of sources of good fats. Almonds and walnuts are wonderful. Eggs are great. Olives, olive oil, avocado, fantastic sources of good, healthy fats that will not only help lose weight, but will also support your cardiovascular system. Okay. The next thing you want to do is increase your fiber. Again, it helps slow the release of glucose, decreases risk of insulin resistance, and makes you feel full faster, helps get rid of extra toxins in your system. It's calorie-free, and fiber comes in things like fruits, vegetables, oats, legumes, and lentils. So if you're trying to lose weight, go for one piece of fruit a day, something like an apple, an orange, a pear, or a cup of berries. Vegetables, you want to get 5 servings a day. And when I say serving, think of about a handful of whatever your favorite lettuce is, whether it's romaine, spinach, kale, or even things like whether it's carrots, celery, but get the vegetables in there and the fiber. It will fill you up and it's so much more healthy for you. And with legumes, when I want you to get rid of those refined carbs, like I was saying a minute ago, the white bread, white pasta, white rice, you're going to replace it with things like lentils and legumes. They've got more nutrients in there. They've got protein and complex carbohydrates. Okay. The next thing you want to do is boost your metabolism. Because remember I was just saying that our metabolism drops 14 to 27% post-injury. So you want to increase foods that can help boost metabolism, things like hot peppers, green tea is fabulous, apples, apple cider vinegar, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, celery, and berries. So great for snacks or for side dishes with your chicken, your fish, or your steak. Okay. The next thing is increase chromium. Chromium, as I was saying earlier, is something we tend to be deficient in. Chromium is a micromineral that improves insulin sensitivity, which means it helps drive the sugar in our blood into our cells so it's utilized as fuel instead of being stored as fat. So what you're looking at is at a minimum you can get it in whole grains, tomatoes, onions, and broccoli, but I really recommend if you're trying to lose weight to take a supplement of this as well. Minimum 200 to 400 micrograms a day. But I would also recommend going up to almost 1,000, 500 in the morning, 500 in the evening, and then take that until you get to your weight loss goal, okay? So these are all the things that I did for this fellow, the quadriplegic, C5, 6, 7, incomplete. And the outcome for him after doing this for quite remarkably 4 months, and he was also working out 2 hours a day on an arm bike, but he was already working out 2 hours a day on an arm bike. When he combined 2 hours a day on an arm bike with eating this way, he lost 40 pounds in 20 weeks, 5 months. So it's pretty remarkable. It increases energy and increases self-esteem. He was feeling so great. So it was quite remarkable because he was getting frustrated when he first called me because he was working out so hard and not losing the weight. But once we shifted things for him, got him on the chromium supplement, removed all the sugar and refined carbohydrates, got him on the whole grain stuff, increased his fiber, this is the result. So that was quite remarkable. So that is the weight loss section. All right, so let's move on now. And if you have questions for me, which I'm sure you will, we'll get to them at the end. But now we're going to look at pressure sores. Okay. So pressure sores. Some more facts about pressure sores before we get into the protocol. If anybody's experienced them, you know they are not pleasant. They are very serious and common secondary health complication. People with SCI have an 80 to 95% risk of developing a pressure sore over a lifetime. And once you've had a pressure sore, your skin is only 80% of its original integrity. So you're at high risk of developing another one in the same area. Very high rates of recurrences, 31 to 79%. And our risk of getting pressure sores increases with time since injury because unfortunately when we age, our skin gets thinner and they account for a lot of rehospitalizations. And pressure sores, just like weight gain, contribute to other secondary health complications like fatigue, infection, osteomyelitis, which can be life-threatening, autonomic dysreflexia, increased spasticity, overall weakness, depression, atrophy of muscles, and it can interfere with education, employment, social life, decrease quality of life, and in some cases contribute to depression. So that's pretty serious stuff there. So there are numerous contributing factors, just like weight gain, to the development of pressure sores. And I'm going to go through them all because they're really quite interesting. And the more you have awareness of this, there's a lot you can do to help prevent it. So tissue damage and cellular death can take as little as 2 to 6 hours to occur. But by the time you see a pressure sore visible on the surface of your skin, it's highly likely that damage to the underlying tissue, fat, and muscle has already taken place. So in addition to the level of injury, chronic illness such as diabetes, which increases risk of pressure sores by 36%, and depression also increases risk of developing pressure sores because people don't have the motivation to care for themselves as much. Here are some other factors that can contribute to pressure sore development. So one is altered circulation. After injury, there's reduced circulation below the level of injury that compromises the supply of oxygen and essential nutrients to tissue. Additionally, below the level of injury, the tone and closing pressure of blood vessels is less than ideal. So blood vessels tend to remain more dilated, which can lead to buildup of waste and toxins in the blood vessels, which makes them more susceptible to damage. Another one is altered collagen production. Collagen production also appears to be altered below the level of injury. So this can lead to decreased skin strength, which in turn results in increased risk of skin injury and impaired healing. There's also atrophy, which most of us know and experience wasted muscle tissue, particularly over those bony prominences. And something I just talked about, body weight. Over 65% of people, as I was mentioning before, are overweight, and this increase in weight and pressure can contribute to pressure sore development, but also being underweight can also contribute to skin breakdown because there's not enough padding to protect those bony areas. Things like changes in body positioning and seating can also make a big difference. So conditions like joint contractures, pelvic obliquity can increase pressure over certain areas and increase risk. Excessive moisture is a big one, whether it's sweat, urine, or feces can contribute to skin breakdown if you're exposed to that. This one I'd never heard of until I was doing like 30 years being in a chair, until I was doing this research. But heat is another one that contributes to pressure sore development. There is a significant rise in skin temperature within 2 to 5 minutes of sitting in your wheelchair around your tailbone and sit bones. And this increase in temperature can make the skin more prone to damage, as higher temperatures increase your tissue's need for oxygen. So temperature increases also result in more waste product formation and provide an ideal breeding ground for bacteria to grow in. And both of these can contribute to breakdown and poor wound healing. So that's a big one. It's a really big one to be aware of. Again, so just, make sure you do those pressure sore like lifts in your chair, or those, pressure reliefs, sit-up things that most of us don't do enough of. Immune function's another one you don't hear a lot of. There's altered communication between the nervous, endocrine, and immune systems following injury. And this is associated with blood vessel function and can impair the body's ability to fight infections when we develop them with pressure sores. Loss of sensation and movement, that's a kind of a given. loss of sensation and decreased ability to move and reposition your body when you've got too much pressure. Spasms, for people who have spasms, increases friction over certain bony prominences like your ankles. And something I mentioned just a few minutes ago, thinning skin, which unfortunately we can't do anything about as we age. It's part of the natural aging process. When skin gets older, it loses elasticity, strength, and has a decreased supply of oxygen and blood. So that's why there's an increased risk of getting a pressure sore with time since injury. And then something that we're talking about today is poor diets. People with spinal cord injuries are deficient in that list I gave you earlier, vitamins A, C, and E, as well as the mineral zinc. And all of these are necessary for strong skin and immunity. So if we're not eating well and we're malnourished, it's also going to contribute to risk of pressure sore development. So going through all of these contributing factors, it's clear to see that when addressing pressure wounds, it's important for a person not just to focus on the wound itself and get good care and packing and treatment in the actual wound area, but it's also important to look at the whole body as a system in trying to heal them. Okay, so nutrients provide the raw materials needed for strong, healthy skin tissue. And studies also show that nutritional intervention can enhance the immune system, improve wound healing, decrease length of hospital stays, and lower the risk of associated complications. Okay, so client case again. This individual, when I was working with him, was 47 years old at the time, C4-5 incomplete quadriplegic. He had been using an air gel cushion for many years. And at 25 years post-injury, he developed his first pressure sore on his sacrum. So this guy very much speaks to the increased risk of pressure sore development with time since injury. And he was shocked. He'd been 25 years living in a chair. He was like, what? I finally got a pressure sore. What's going on here? And it got pretty bad pretty quickly. At 9 months of trying to, pressure relieve, stay off of it as much as possible, getting it dressed properly, it still progressed to stage 4. And he then developed osteomyelitis, which is a bone infection, and he required surgery. And when he went in for his surgery, the wound was about 4 inches long, 4.5 inches wide, and 3.5 inches deep. After surgery, to help it heal, he was using vacuum therapy, if those of you are aware of that. And he'd been using vacuum therapy for about 10 months, and it wasn't healing as well as his doctors would have liked. And they were measuring it at healing at about 5% every 2 weeks, but then it would rip open again. And so his doctors finally said, get some nutritional help. They've been trying everything, and it wasn't healing as they'd like. So that's when he came to me and said, can you do something for me? He was an executive in the financial industry in the States, and he was highly motivated to do whatever it took to get back to work because he'd missed so much work. So this guy did everything I said for him to do. He was great. And I'm just going to show you. He sent me a picture and said I can use this picture. You can see the necrosis of the tissue here. There's the wound. That was like months going. It just wasn't closing over, but you can see the green tissue there with I won't hold that up too long, of the infected tissue. So this is the protocol that I gave to him. So the first one was increase calories. During times of injury, illness, or stress, the body may become hypermetabolic. Okay, so individuals with pressure sores often show signs of malnutrition because pressure sores compete with the body for energy stores and amino acids, which come from protein. So they require nutritional support to provide your body with the raw material it needs to build the collagen and support the immune system to fight that green tissue you saw there. So you need to increase calories. If calories are not met, it can lead to a catabolic state and the loss of precious tissue, weight loss, and a weakened immune system. So it's so important to increase calories. And I do want to note though, when I work with people, I do personalized programs, and you do have to be careful if somebody is obese and has a pressure sore, you don't want to increase calories too much because then you're increasing their weight, which they're going to have to lose, which is difficult after it's healed. This individual didn't have any weight issues, so I gave him 30 to 35 calories per kilogram of body weight, okay, to help his body meet the needs for healing. And healthy sources of high calorie foods are things like nut butters. And what I mean by that is like cashews, cashew butter, almonds, almond butter. They're really healthy sources of protein. They also have good fats in them. Dried fruit, very high in calories, and you're getting lots of good vitamin C. Juices, same thing, fruit juices, pure fruit juices. Avocados are wonderful because they've got lots of B vitamins, good fats, and fiber. Whole grains, things like coconut milk is amazing. Coconut milk, you can sometimes get like 7 extra calories in 1 can of coconut milk. Add it to your smoothies, to your soups, to your curries, to your stews, whatever. It's a great way to increase calories. Often when I see this, people are like, oh, drive through McDonald's. It's like, no, it's the crappiest thing. Is you do not want to increase that. That can actually impair your body's healing. It's got to be healthy source of calories like the ones listed here, okay? So that's the first step. The next thing is to increase protein. When you have a pressure sore, you need to increase protein, 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Okay, so protein is essential for collagen synthesis and immune function. We need protein to build antibodies to help fight any associated infection with a pressure sore. So, good sources, clean sources, lean beef, lean poultry, fish, again, things like plant-based proteins, quinoa, beans, lentils, the nuts, the nut butters. And because you're increasing the protein, for a lot of people, it's too much to be chewing, so drink protein smoothies, drink the protein, okay? I often have extra amino acids here I give in supplements. You can see here lysine, proline, glutamine. These particular amino acids are great for healing, and they're found in all of the foods listed up above, but you can also take supplements of these as well. Okay, so there's different, if you want to use a protein powder for a smoothie, there are different kinds of protein powders in the market. Some are made from eggs, some from whey, some from soy. The best one if you have a pressure sore, if you're not a vegetarian, would be a whey protein. It's just in terms of absorbability, the whey is the best to get it into your system for healing. Okay, so that's step 2, and I've given you a chart here. I've given you specific numbers of how much protein to eat, but like what does a chicken breast or what does an egg have? So here's a chart that literally will give you what the serving is and how many grams of protein you can get in it. So it's helpful just to look at so you have a really good idea of how much protein you're consuming every single day. Okay. The next thing you need to do is to ensure you're getting enough vitamin A, C, D, E, and zinc. These are all needed to support collagen production and to support your immune system. So to go through it specifically, vitamin A stimulates the growth of the base layer of your skin. It's also an antioxidant to help prevent tissue damage that can impair healing. And it enhances the activity of white blood cells to help protect against infection. So lots of yellow and orange vegetables like sweet potato and carrots. I have this guy loading up on. You also need lots of vitamin C. Vitamin C helps convert amino acids, that proline, lysine that I mentioned up above, into collagen. It helps strengthen blood vessels to support circulation for delivery of nutrients to your wound site. It helps support the immune system by helping to activate white blood cells. And it's also an antioxidant to help prevent tissue damage that can impair healing. The other thing that's interesting is prolonged stress, and having a pressure sore is physical stress, actually depletes vitamin C from your body, so you need to actually increase it. And everybody knows citrus fruits are great, like oranges, limes, and lemons for vitamin C, but even better sources, broccoli, red and green peppers are really, really great. So again, I had him load up on this stuff at dinner time. Also great to get vitamin D, which we need anyways for bone health. But vitamin D helps activate T cells in immune system function to help fight infection. So egg yolks, sardines, salmon are great, but also get out in the sun unprotected for 15 minutes and get that vitamin D. The vitamin E is another one. Vitamin E, as I said earlier, we tend to be deficient in. It is a very powerful antioxidant that helps protect tissues. So you can get that in olives, olive oil, almonds, and sunflowers. So I had him snacking on sunflower seeds, snacking on almonds, and drizzling lots of olive oil, olives, broccoli, and salads. I also had him eating lots of zinc because zinc is necessary. It's a cofactor in collagen and protein synthesis. So zinc, pumpkin seeds, again, something to snack on. And zinc also plays an important role in immune system function and helping to fight infection, okay? So there's lots there, but there are ways to work all of these into your diet, like the pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and almonds are great for snacks. And all the vegetables, lots at dinner and at lunch, and salads or side dishes. And this guy was wonderful. He was on a mission, so he did all of this. But I also had him taking supplements of these. He was so keen to get back to work. So I had him on 5,000 international units of vitamin A day. I had him on 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day, 2,000 international units of vitamin D a day, and 400 international units of vitamin E, and 30 milligrams of zinc a day for 2 months. And for anybody who might be considering this, if you have pressure sore, after 8 weeks, take a break for 4 weeks. And if this pressure sore isn't healed, go back on it. Okay, so the next thing is to drink, drink, drink. It's so important to make sure you are well hydrated because maintaining adequate fluid intake is essential because water is needed to carry repair substances, those nutrients, to the wound site. And the more hydrated you are, studies do show it helps skin wounds heal more quickly. It also helps eliminate wastes and toxins. So things like water, lots of lemon water. Again, lemon water has the vitamin C to help boost your immune system. So drink that throughout the day, but also, I don't know if any of you have tried coconut water. Coconut water is really great for electrolytes. So electrolytes are things like potassium and sodium. And coconut water is a natural source of these. And when you have a chronic pressure sore, we tend to be depleted in these electrolytes. So it's a great way to replace these electrolytes by drinking pure coconut water without added sugar. That's really, really key. Look at the ingredients and make sure there's no added sugar in there. Coconut water doesn't need it. It's very sweet when it's natural on its own. So that's something else you want to do. Next, the next thing I had them do was increase essential fatty acids. Those are the healthy fats. They are required for proper cell reproduction. They also reduce inflammation, which supports the healing process, and it helps maintain skin integrity and elasticity and prevents moisture loss, which can contribute to skin breakdown. So omega-3s are some of the best in reducing inflammation. So eat fish 3 or 4 times a week. Again, the salmon, sardines, halibut. But I also highly recommend, and this fellow did, he took 4, I have here 2 to 4, but he was taking 4 1,000 milligram supplements of omega-3 fatty acids a day. Always consult with your physician before taking any fish oils because they are a natural blood thinner. And if anybody is on blood thinning medication, always consult with your physician first, okay? But if you're not on blood thinners, then consult with them anyways, but then you might want to consider taking this. The next thing there is increase probiotics. Probiotics are good bacteria that most of us do not have enough of, and they really help support the immune system and fight any kind of infection that might be associated with that pressure sore. So natural sources are things like yogurt, and there's a drink called kombucha, which is loaded with good bacteria. But again, I also say take a multi-strain probiotic with a minimum of 15 billion microorganisms in it. And the other nice thing about this is it will help protect against bladder infections, help support bowel function, which is great as well. But it's really important to get those in your system. And the next thing I want to do for a lot of people with chronic pressure sores is they're bedridden, they can't get up. So you want to enhance circulation so that the blood is carrying the oxygen and carrying the blood, oxygen, nutrients to the wound site. So fresh ginger root tea is great, or cook with lots of fresh ginger because it's great for stimulating the circulation system. But also that supplement I mentioned earlier, coenzyme Q10, is great for supporting circulation. So you can get that as a supplement form, anywhere from 30 to 100 milligrams a day, I recommend. So I also want you to remove all refined processed sugars. So anything kind of cakes, cookies, pop, ice cream, any of those things. The reason I say this is sugar feeds bacteria. So if there is any kind of infection associated with your pressure sore, you're going to make that infection stronger. But also sugar contributes to inflammation. And even if you have microscopic inflammation in your tissue, it's going to impair the wound healing process. So get rid of it altogether, okay? And avoid smoking because it impairs blood flow. And I know there's some wound specialists here in Toronto who will not do any surgery, pressure sore surgery on individuals here until they quit smoking, because I know how much it impairs blood flow, circulation, and healing post-surgery. So until these individuals quit smoking, they won't do surgery on them. So those are the 9. This fellow I was working with didn't smoke. I threw that one in at the end anyways. So this guy was doing 1 through 8 recommendations, and the outcome for him was within the first 4 weeks of incorporating this protocol into his daily diet, his healing time doubled from 5 to 10% every 2 weeks. And within 6 months, his wound was completely healed. He returned to work full time and and even to this day, you know what, I actually just talked to him yesterday. He lives in the States, and he said no reoccurrences. And we're going back probably 7 years, 7, 8 years now, which is amazing. So it was really quite fascinating. His doctors were following every 2 weeks. It made a big, big difference to his skin. So there's a lot of the damage is done, but the skin was healed over there. So that's that. Okay. So to wrap up, hopefully, it's a lot of information I've given you here, but hopefully I've helped to demonstrate that nutrition really is an integral part of pressure wound healing, a key to optimizing long-term health, helping you maintain a healthy weight. And I really think it's good to ask yourself is what are you eating, and have a really good look at that. So there we go. So lots of information, guys, a lot to take in. Don't know if you guys are taking notes there, any of that, but I can attest to as well, like I live by this, and I've had so many secondary health complications over 30 years. And by changing my diet, I cannot tell you how much it's changed my life. So and I've seen it in my practice for the last 10 years. It's amazing. So there we go. I can open it up now to questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joanne. Do you want to unshare your screen and then reshare your face?
Okay. Let's see if I can.
I've got tons of questions. However, I want to open it up to everybody. But first, I just want to say if we were interested in getting your book, where would we get that?
Okay, so there's a website called Eat Well, Live Well with Spinal Cord Injury.com. And so you can get it in book form. We also have a PDF you can download. Do you see my face now? Is it up there?
I see your face. Can you stop sharing screen though?
Oh, okay. So how do I do that? Okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Awesome.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Eat well, live well.
With spinalcordinjury.com.
Awesome. Okay, so we do have 19 people online right now. So what I'm going to do is just ask each individual person. I'm just going to go through my list, see if anybody has any questions. I'm going to start with Kim, who's joining us on the phone. Kim, do you have any questions or comments or anything to share?
No, I think it's great information. I was just surprised to hear the stats that 80 to 100% of us get pressure sore.
Yeah, with time since injury, once with the aging process and thinning skin, is when you really start to see an increase in pressure sore occurrences. And I've certainly, my friends have all been 30 years injured now. And I see so many people starting to get pressure sores that I was in rehab with, and they've never had pressure sores before.
Wow.
I know.
Well, that's really good information for those of us who have been lucky.
Exactly. And that's why the
good warning.
guy I was working with 25 years, no pressure sores, and then suddenly he got one to get rid of it. So, I mean, prevention is the key for sure.
Well, it's great information. Thank you.
Thank you. Going on to Bert. Bert, Bert, you're on. You've muted yourself, so if you'd like to unmute yourself, you can.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I'm in perfect health, and no, just kidding.
Good for you. Awesome. Good.
Thanks, Bert. Next is going to be Dave. Dave, anything to add or any questions or anything?
Yeah, I guess a couple of things came to mind around, I've been vegetarian for about 30 years.
Okay.
I'm not vegan, so I have been vegan, and I kind of go off and on being vegan. It's a very difficult thing to maintain, I find, but because I like eggs, I like cheese, and those are the two main ones. But I wondered from your point of view on if you are vegan, I guess, I mean, you talked about vegetarian options and everything, but some sources, like I have a bit of an iron deficiency at times.
Okay.
I take an iron supplement, but other sources of iron, and just had general comments about, living as a vegetarian as opposed to eating meat.
Yeah, I mean, you could do
what sources, if you are eating meat, I think if I was making that decision now and I was eating meat, I'd only be eating organic, kind of free range stuff. But
right.
Yeah.
I mean, for iron, then you can definitely do like prunes, prune juice, apricots, dried peaches are some great, or legumes, even lentils.
Yeah.
For your iron, if you're looking at a protein powder, you can do a legume-based protein powder. That's great. And I do recommend getting like essential fats in your system, and through a supplement, do a flaxseed oil instead of a fish oil. Things like that. I mean, there's absolutely ways around it. And to your point about organic, I get asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
Organic is definitely expensive. There's no doubt. And what I say is, put your money, if you're going to do organic, into organic meats versus organic vegetables, because if you wash your fruits and vegetables well, you can get rid of the pesticides on it. It's the hormones they put into the meats that it's better to go organic with your meats.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned cost. I was also thinking some of the supplements like D-Manus, which I have used off and on.
Yeah.
But some of those particular supplements are quite expensive.
Yeah, they definitely can be. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you always want to get your nutrients from food first.
Yeah.
But if you do have a secondary health complication like a pressure sore, bowel issues, or like chronic bladder infections, then go to a supplement like D-Manus, or do like this supplement protein powders to increase your protein intake. But always, you want to get your nutrients from a good diet first and foremost.
And do you consider D-Manus more effective than cranberry generally, is depending on the source of cranberry? Or
cranberry's hit and miss. For some people, it's very effective. For some people, it does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody is different. So I always say, like, try both. Some people do cranberry and they swear by it. Other people do nothing. It does nothing for them. So they go on Demanos and it clears it up so quickly. So it just depends. Like, what I really like is a company called AOR does a supplement called UTI Cleanse, which contains Demanos and cranberry extract. So you get both. So that's my go-to when I do recommends for a UTI supplement. Yeah.
Any thoughts on alternative forms of, like, I've been getting a tincture from a Chinese medicine doctor, which really helped prevent UTIs for a long time, but then I sort of got into a series of them, so I'm not 100% convinced that it's useful because it is expensive too. I want to be sure I'm spending my money on something that works, you know.
Yeah, and I say, like, as we all know, every spinal cord injury is different, and everybody responds to things so differently, whether it be pain meds or therapies, acupuncture, massage, physio. Same thing with any kind of supplement, whether it be a tincture or a Demanos supplement. I say try it, and you'll know quite quickly whether it's working or not.
Yeah.
I always, give recommendations for what I see with my clients works the most, like the Demanos cranberry supplement, and probiotics for UTIs. Everyday probiotics as a preventative, because it not only changes the acidity of your bladder, but it also increases your immune system to help fight infection. So absolutely, but you really need a minimum now, like say 15 billion active microorganisms per pill, and you really want to get a multi-strain, like a minimum of 5 different strains of probiotic in your pill.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going on 43 years post-injury and just turned 62.
Good for you. Wow.
I think some of the, I feel like I've been very lucky. I've had very little time in hospital, but I also see around me people that are aging and having all sorts of difficulties.
Absolutely.
Trying to be more preventative about, should I live to be 80? It's not that far away, really. You know, how do we maximize our potential?
Yep. And that's what I say, prevention all the way.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Okay, next, Dylan. You're unmuted if you like to make any comments or ask any questions.
How do you unmute it?
You're good?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan. Frank, any questions or comments from yourself?
No, not really right now, but I would commend the presentation. It was very good.
Awesome.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, Frank. Howard, what about you? Any comments or questions? Howard, we can't hear you, and if you're saying something, I can't hear you. So, John, what about yourself? John, anything? Nope, he might be away. Lori.
I really recommend getting this on Dr. Ross, because I've noticed he does have people in the audience in wheelchairs.
Mm-hmm.
It would go nationwide, even universal.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Yep. And Marnie. Marnie, anything?
No, sorry I was late, so I kind of missed most of it. Oh, dang.
That's why
what I wanted to get to, right?
Do you have any questions or anything?
No.
Okay. Okay, so yeah. Maureen, what about you?
Yes, actually I do. Thank you very much. The presentation was great. I just have a couple of questions. what do you think about hemp seeds or hemp oil for omega-3?
Absolutely. Great. Throw them in your smoothies,
Okay.
throw them on top of your whatever whole grain cereal. Great.
Good. How about, I drink green tea every day, but I drink decaffeinated. Does that make a difference?
No, it's personal preference. I mean, some people are so sensitive to caffeine, and so they prefer the decaf. I mean, lots of great antioxidants in green tea, so for that benefit, it's wonderful. You're always going to get a little bit of caffeine, even in decaffeinated products, whether it's coffee or tea. But no, I mean, as long as you're enjoying it and it's very good for you, then absolutely go for it.
Okay, and sugars, I use raw honey, but just a half a teaspoon in my tea. So would that be considered like a sugar?
No, it is a sugar, but it's a natural sugar. So I want you to, when I say sugars, like refined sugars, but honey is great because it doesn't raise your blood sugars the same way like white sugar does, table sugar. So it's great.
Thank you. Good. And vegetables, as far as carbs go, what about potatoes?
I really recommend sweet potato over white potatoes. A lot more nutrients, especially vitamin A to support immune health, skin health, and so much more fiber. And if you're trying to lose weight, white potatoes, I know they're yummy, especially baked white potatoes, but they raise your blood sugars and your insulin levels so fast. So if you're trying to lose weight, do not eat white potatoes. Go for the sweet.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Is that it, Maureen?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I have a bit of problem with pressure sores. I'm only 4 years post injury, but I'm 63, so my skin is thin. So nothing serious yet, but I do watch my skin very carefully. And when I see a start of a pressure sore, it's only on my heels. So yeah, this information's been very good to me. So I'm going to take your advice on the pressure sore thing. Thank you.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Thank you, Maureen. John wanted to try again. Let's see. Unmute. And unmute you. John, do you have yourself on mute? No. Let me try again here.
So small change.
Okay. I'm going to try. Hold on a second, John. Okay, now try. We can't hear you for some reason. Oh. Okay, never mind. Patty, what about you? Patty, I can't really hear you either, so I don't know if there's a problem with okay, we'll go on to Mohi. Do you have anything to comment on or any questions?
Hello, thanks, Joanne, for your good presentation. Unfortunately, I missed the first an hour of your presentation, and I follow the Mediterranean diet, and I have no problem, and for a skin issue, and I kept my I'm a CI and T12L1, and for 33 years, and I managed to keep my weight between 75 to 18, and I'm in good shape. And just I want to ask a question about the alcoholic beverage. Okay, for me, I usually drink twice per week beer, and maybe once or twice per month a hard liquor, just like whiskey and something like that. And I would be glad if I hear some information and your recommendation about the alcoholic beverage intake. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to make sure some of it cut out there. So maybe Terry, you can just make sure I'm on the right. Got the question is just what's my thoughts on alcohol consumption? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So first, I want to say Mediterranean diet is time and time again proven to be the best diet. So keep it up. It's great, fantastic. And in terms of alcohol, I mean, a couple drinks a week is fine. Whatever your choice is. Food and drink is meant to be enjoyed. It's a great pleasure in life. So, you know, if you're having, whether it's whiskey, beer, wine, whatever your favorite drink is, that's fantastic. Enjoy it a couple times a week. Again, if you're trying to lose weight, then avoid wine, avoid beer, and stick to things more like vodka and gin. But if you don't have any weight issues following the Mediterranean diet, as you just said, then I say enjoy it. Enjoy the drink.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mohi. John keeps texting me. Try again, John.
Can he text you the question?
He could. He could even type it in the chat box if he wanted to, but
maybe that's the way to go.
Because I don't think we can hear you, John. All right. And Robert.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, amazing. All right. The presentation, I know from practical experience, is right on. Whole foods diet combined with exercise works wonders. It makes all the difference. And there's no substitute for both those, that combination. For pressure sores, I find that sheep's wool for bedding or sitting, there's nothing like it.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert.
Welcome.
Okay, and Sally, do you have any questions or anything? Comments?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I was just wondering, because I eat quite healthy, I think. Like I just, for lunch, I'm eating a big salad with just about everything that you mentioned in the salad. But what about portion control? Because now that I'm getting older, I'm really noticing weight gain, and I feel like maybe I'm eating like the right things, but too much, or.
Okay, so yeah, the grains, particularly grains, those kind of carbohydrates are really not our friends after spinal cord injury. Those are the culprits in terms of contributing to weight gain. So cut out all refined sugars, again, the cakes, the cookies, the pop, anything like that. But when it comes to servings, what I recommend for spinal cord injury is 0 to 1 serving of grain a day. So that means 1 slice of whole grain bread or a cup of brown rice or a cup of whole grain pasta. That's it. And instead you're going to replace as a side dish or a meal those carbs with quinoa, lentils, or legumes, which also contain a lot of fiber and protein. So, I mean, a lot of people I work with are having bagels or processed cereal for breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, and then say, you know, pasta for dinner. Way too many carbs. We don't burn them off the same way. We have poor carbohydrate metabolism, poor glucose uptake. That's the big one, is reduce or get rid of the grains. You can still get the carbohydrates we need for energy from fruits, vegetables, legumes, and lentils. And as far as your fruits go, if you want to watch your weight, 1 serving of fruit a day, and low sugar fruits like a pear, an apple, or a cup of your favorite berries. That's it, 1 serving a day. Yeah. Yeah, we really have to watch it. We cannot consume what we did pre-injury. We just don't burn it off. I mean, there's been studies, we need less calories. It's proven. So, but really cut down your grains.
Okay, because I don't really eat very much bread and that sort of thing. I do eat quinoa and sometimes rice. But yeah. And then I was also wondering, I think one thing I do that's not good is I eat too soon before I go to bed.
Oh yeah, like 2 hours before you go to bed, don't eat. Yeah.
Okay. And when I'll have to work on that. So, and when is the best time to take the probiotic?
I say bedtime. There's different theories on this, but I always say bedtime. So you want those microorganisms to live through your stomach and get into your intestines. And if you take them with food, your body's going to naturally produce stomach acid to break down your food, and that will kill a lot of the probiotics off. If you're not eating 2 hours before you go to bed and you take them at bedtime, you'll get more of them living through your stomach into your intestine.
Okay. And then the one more question is, can you ever have too much? Because I was taking the probiotic that I like is it's a natural factors, but it's got 55 billion.
It depends on bowel tolerance. So, I mean, it does definitely help you go to the bathroom. It keeps you very regular. But if you find it's making you go to the bathroom too much or it's too loose, then cut back to 30 billion or 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That was great.
Thanks, Sally. Okay, I'm going to try Patty. Patty.
Hi.
Yay, we can hear you now.
Okay. I've been injured 37 years, and I did change my diet 4 years ago. I suffer from neuropathic pain. I have a question about that. Anything else besides changing your diet? No dairy, no gluten. I'm sensitive to different celery even, but I am really cautious about my diet. So my other question is anything about shoulder tendonitis and arm tendonitis as well.
Okay, so you cut out a little bit there, so hopefully I'll cover the questions. In terms of inflammation and neuropathic pain, you want to reduce inflammation as much as possible. So you want to do fish oils, curcumin supplements. You want to cut out, again, all refined sugar because it causes inflammation. You're cutting out dairy, I think you said?
Yeah.
And grains are also very inflammatory. So again, cut out the grains, cut out the dairy, cut out the sugar, and get.
I don't do that since 2013.
Okay.
But I have a neuropathic pain, so and I do take curcumin.
Okay. And fish oils, omega-3.
Yes.
How many a day?
Just one. So I think maybe, but I'm not sure. You would take 4?
4 omega-3s. If you want to, not only for your neuropathic pain, but also for your shoulders, your tendonitis, because omega-3s are amazing for anti-inflammatory and for lubricating joints. So I would say, again, to bowel tolerance though, right? Like fish oils are natural bowel lubricants as well. Yeah. But you can, like, go slowly. If you're taking 1 now, go to 2 and go to 3. Try and go to 4. How much curcumin are you taking?
Just one capsule a day.
And what is it, 400 milligrams per?
I think so. It's from Shoppers Drug Mart.
Again, I would take 4.
At different times of the day, or?
Do 2 fish oils, 2 curcumin in the morning, and then do 2 fish oils, 2 curcumin at night.
Okay, yeah, that's not going to hurt.
That's for neuropathic pain and your joints.
Okay, and I do ginger as well, and and the role of honey, I heard, is very nutritious. Now I don't know, is that a bad sugar? My homeopathic doctor says no, it's an okay that and maple syrup.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good sweeteners. Yeah.
Okay, and the other role of calcium and magnesium.
You need them for overall muscle function, cardiovascular function, and bone health. So you do want to be on a multi-mineral bone supplement. So multi-mineral bone supplements will have magnesium and calcium and silicone and boron. So, and that will help cardiovascular function, muscle function, health. So you can get, I wouldn't recommend just getting calcium, do a multi-mineral bone supplement. And if you can, take them at bedtime because they're also natural body relaxers that can help you sleep.
Yes, that's what I do. I do the calcium. Now, I'm not sure. I'm very confused on the calcium types. Isn't there like 3 types of calcium? And some of them
Yeah, the cheapest one you don't want to get, and that's most available and most people get out there, is carbonate. It's like chalk. Don't get the carbonate. Get calcium citrate. It's a better quality. It's more absorbable, more beneficial.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was my other thing I wanted to share. I just was reading. I'm a nurse, and I just read lots of stuff. But on neuropathic pain, I was reading. I'm on Lyrica. I'm Lyrica right out, and I was reading that Lyrica actually in mice help regenerate nerves. But then I figure, well, if that's happening, then that's causing pain perhaps too, right? So I don't know.
I've actually never heard that about Lyrica, so that's new for me. I've never read that. So interesting.
Yeah. And I found it interesting. I just thought, see if you've read anything like that.
No, I haven't heard that. Thanks.
And any other things for neuropathic pain?
No, those are the big ones. Cut out the grains, the sugar, and the dairy. You got to get your fish oils and your curcumin up for sure.
So yeah, so no dairy, no sugar, which sounds good. No grains, I'm already. But grains now, pumpkin seeds are not considered a grain, are they?
No, that's a seed. That's fine. You're fine.
And what, sesame seeds and sunflower seeds?
Yeah, so nuts and seeds and lentils and legumes, you're totally fine with. And quinoa.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And I really encourage everybody else to really look at your nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Okay, John has a series of questions. I'm gonna try one last time. John? No, he still can't hear you. But do you see the little microphone there at the bottom there? And you tried doing that? Okay, well, I'm going to read out his questions. He's got a few. So he said, what is the relation between insulin and inflammation, and how does that affect fat accumulation and cardiovascular health?
So you want to have maintained insulin levels. So when your blood sugar levels go up, your insulin goes up. You want to maintain like nice balanced blood sugar and insulin levels to help maintain weight. But also the thing is, when you eat too many sugars and your blood sugar levels go up, refined sugars increase inflammation. Inflammation wreaks havoc in your system. It contributes to neuropathic pain. It contributes to weight gain. So you want to balance your insulin levels and reduce your inflammation to help overall health, but it also makes your cells work more optimally when you're less inflamed. So for overall weight gain, maintaining weight and health, keep your inflammation down and keep your blood sugars and insulin balanced. So basically cut out the refined sugars and get rid of the white stuff, the white bread, the white pasta, the white rice, get it out.
Okay. John, that okay? Okay. Which fats are good or bad? So he says fish fat is good, but what about beef, pork, etc.?
If you like pork, just minimize it, because again, there's uric acid in pork, which is not great for your joint health. But if you like it, again, you want to keep your joy. Food's meant to be enjoyed. Just don't eat it 5 times a week, maybe once or twice. I'd say once or twice a month. Keep your uric acid levels down. We do need saturated fats. All our cells have some saturated fats, or cell membranes have saturated fats in them. You don't want to eliminate saturated fats altogether. So having steak once in a while, if you enjoy it, great. Once, twice a week, have some red meat.
Cool.
Just you don't want to be loading up on it.
Yeah. And he said, you mentioned eating dried fruits to increase calorie intake. Aren't dried fruits very high in sugar?
They are, but they're natural sugars. And if you're trying to gain weight and in a healthy way, that's a healthy way. There's natural sugars for gaining weight. If you're trying to watch your weight, then I say don't eat dried fruit. But it's much better to say eat dried fruit with natural sugars than candy bars or anything like that.
Protein powder, pros, cons between egg, beef, or whey?
It depends. It kind of comes down to bioavailability, which is why I was saying if you have a pressure sore and you're not vegan or vegetarian, go for whey. It's got, I think, 130% bioavailability. Egg protein is also very good, but it's very expensive, which is why I don't usually recommend it. It's still good. If you can afford it, great. And again, legume-based or soy-based, if you're vegan, vegetarian, totally fine as well. Depends on what your taste is and, you know, what your eating habits are. But if you want the most bioavailability in terms of absorption, whey is the way to go.
Okay, and then his last question is vitamins in vegetables. Does the way you cook them make a difference? So boil versus roast versus microwave, etc.
Yeah, you want to, I mean, when you cook the heck out of your food, it does break down the cell membranes. So if you boil the heck out of them, you're going to leach a lot of those nutrients out. So better to steam them or say saute them lightly versus boiling the heck out of them. That's what I would recommend. Saute lightly or steam.
Okay.
And you can steam in the microwave too.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. And Tom, last but not least, how about you? Any questions there?
I think the responses that Lori's given us really add a great deal of the subtle detail, and I'm wondering if the book goes into that level of detail.
It does. Yeah, the book, it is. It's very detailed. It's 267 pages, I think. So yeah, it's pretty detailed about why certain things are recommended. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have
look forward to getting a copy.
Yeah, the book is great, Tom. I really recommend it.
Well, I'm deep.
Hold on, Tom. Sorry, I muted you. Hold on. Go again. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that these copies of the book should be available at the rehab center, and probably having discussions like this at the center would be really helpful for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, Tom. One of the questions Lori had here was if there's a chapter in your book on cerebral palsy or ataxia.
No, it's spinal cord injuries primarily, but it is applicable to other neurological conditions. Like there's a whole chapter on pain, which would be great for, say, MS, CP, and bowel health, bladder health, which would be great for CP. But nothing on those particular topics you just mentioned specific.
Okay, cool. One of the questions that I have, as well as I know other people have who maybe aren't here today, but is weight management for gaining weight. So I know you mentioned dried fruits, things like that. For myself, I definitely have a hard time putting on weight. And you know, I was on a 2,000 calorie diet there for a while and still could not put on a pound.
Right. Yeah. It's like I would say protein smoothies in the morning, and instead of using like milk or water or almond milk, dump in a can of coconut milk, throw in scoops of almond butter or cashew butter and your protein powder. You'll get like you'll get like 1,500 calories right there by doing that. And again, like for lunches, if you did a whole grain pasta or like a whole grain bread sandwich, again, load it with any of your nut butters that you like. Add coconut milk to any stew or soup or curry that you possibly can. I'm not a big advocate on fruit juices. Like my juice right here is cherry juice. I put like a quarter juice, 3/4 water. I dilute it because of the calories. But if you're trying to gain calories, then drink a whole thing of real fruit juice and keep at your desk there, Terry. Cashews. Eat cashews. Snack on them, and dried fruit, dried banana chips, peaches, like any kind of dried fruit you like. So you're getting really healthy sources of them. Olive oil, drizzle all over your salads and your vegetables. Another great way to increase healthy calories and, you know, protect your heart.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. I think Patty has another question here. So Patty, go ahead.
wondering where you can get your book. Is it available on Amazon?
No, you know what? So the woman I wrote the book with, her and I have been trying to get it on Amazon for so long. We have to get these special codes, and it's just been so complicated. So I'm actually getting together with her next week, and we're going to try and get it on Amazon again. But right now, the best way is on our website, either the book or the PDF download version. And either we just like drop it to you on the PDF, or we'll ship the book to you. But we're trying to get it on Amazon. We really are.
Okay, and what's your website again?
It's Eat Well, Live Well with SCI.com.
Okay. Eat Well, Live Well with SCI, right?
Yeah, .com.
Oh, .com. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Awesome. I just want to run through everybody. John, if you have any other questions, you can type them in. But I'll just run through everybody again to see if they have any other questions. So Kim?
I'm great. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Bert, just checking in one more time if anything came up for you.
No, I bought the PDF and that works great.
Thank
you
you.
just download it. It's always on your iPad all the time. So
Thanks. Awesome.
I haven't lost any weight with it because I went back to eating donuts. No, just kidding. Thanks.
Thanks, Bert. Dave?
No, I'm good. Thanks. It was a great presentation, and I will definitely download the book as well.
Thanks,
And
Dave.
appreciate it. I've got to fly, so thanks for everything.
Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate the feedback.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. Bye, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Dylan, anything? I can't see up, so I think you're on mute. Hold on.
Yeah, how do I?
Hold on one sec, Dylan. There we go.
There.
Okay. You should be good now.
Now, yeah, I'm just, I have Friedrich's ataxia. So it's not a spinal cord injury. So it's just information. It's very helpful information. Thank you very much. But
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks.
I suffer from a different disease.
Yeah, I think from what I understand from Joanne is like it's all kind of relatable, right? I mean, although the book might be specifically for a spinal cord injury, but there's definitely crossover between all types of disabilities. So
yeah, especially because it's the secondary health complications the book deals with, so bowel, bladder, pain, stress.
Yeah, you bet. I'm totally a sit-down kind of guy.
Awesome. Thanks, Dylan. Do we have up? Frank, anything from you at all?
No, I'm fine. Thanks very much.
Okay. Lori?
Can I share this on my Facebook group?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be sending out a link to the video and questions and some resources. If Joanne, you have any resources that I can add to my newsletter, if you could send them to me, and any of you guys too, would be great. So, and then absolutely. Marnie, anything coming up for you?
Yeah, a couple of things. Again, sorry I missed the presentation. I'm looking forward to getting that. I was just wondering, like, are pressure sores still quite prevalent? Like, I know with cushions and whatnot, education.
Oh, yes, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly, yes, they are. It's one of the primary things I deal with for sure. Yeah.
Do you still recommend like a high protein diet?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Has there been any like advancements like with medical, like once you get to stage 4, like to help heal it at all, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, things like, not that vacuum therapy is, newish, but certainly when I was injured, like the vacuum therapy didn't exist. So there's definitely for healing and new surgery techniques and things, but the biggest thing is prevention. So do your pressure relief, get the right cushion, even sleeping bed. Just watch your skin, check your skin. Prevention's the biggest factor, and keep your skin integrity up by eating well, eating a healthy diet.
Yeah, I've seen like quite a few people have the Rojo beds now. So I think they just assume they can lay on it 24/7 kind of thing and not have to do pressure relief or roll.
Yeah,
or,
you have to.
Yeah, definitely.
Really
the other thing I recently discovered was colloidal silver water. I don't know if you've heard much about it or if there's much benefits.
Some people I know use it and swear by it, but it's something that you might want to check with your physician first. But there's been great studies done on colloidal silver and healing, but I would not recommend it until you talk to your physiatrist or physician first.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Smart. Maureen, any more comments or questions?
No, thanks. I appreciate all of the information, and I'll get the book.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mohi, what about you?
Oh, I remember that there is a copy of that book in the iCourt Center, and I borrowed that book and read that, and I had it for 1 week, and it was very informative. And I'm going to buy that book. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mohi. Let's see. Robert, any last comments or questions?
Just good to see. It's so encouraging to know that whole foods are essential. Exercise just confirms everything I thought. Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. I like Mohi was just showing us his. I
saw that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sally, anything else?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you can recommend a really good fish oil, because I've heard different things about, like, some people say all fish oils are rancid by the time you get them in the bottle, kind of thing. Is that true, or?
Companies go, like professional supplement companies go to a lot of lengths to make sure they don't go rancid. So they store them in either like very dark glass bottles or completely covered bottles, like the white opaque ones. Keep them refrigerated. I prefer small fish, so like sardines, getting the small fish sources, but not krill, because when they're doing krill, you're actually depleting whale sources of food. Whales eat krill, so I don't recommend krill at all. But doing like sardines, those are really great sources. So professional companies, I'll name a few because there's not one in particular. They're all good. Like Now, Progressive, AOR, Genestra, Soroil are all great brands of fish oils. And these companies, Douglas Labs, really do their best to make sure they are fresh, they're not rancid. Yeah.
And then what about the DHA and EPA ratio?
It depends on what your goal is. If you're looking to support nerve function, you want to go to higher DHA. If you're looking to support your cardiovascular system and reduce inflammation, you want to go for higher EPA. So fish oils will all have like EPA, DHA values, but like I said, you're looking for a higher ratio of one or the other depending on what your goal is.
Okay, thank you. I got the book too, the PDF, so it's.
Oh, great, thanks.
It's nice to have as a reference.
Thank you, thanks.
Awesome, thanks, Sally. Tom?
Sure, thank you. I have been fortunate in avoiding pressure sores or weight gain, but now that I've reached 75 and 57 years in a chair, my skin is bothering me in other ways. And I've been listening and hearing my wife's voice in my ears at the same time about the multicolored fruits and vegetables and skin integrity. And with thinning skin and the risk of things like candida, I'm assuming that the kinds of information you have with regard to nutrition will probably be very applicable there as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I really think one of the best things you can do to protect your skin is, it's the multicolored fruits and vegetables, the antioxidants to help, prevent any kind of free radical damage to tissue. But fish oils themselves help maintain moisture in the skin. So they help keep it more, this integrity up and the strength up. So I cannot say enough good things for people with spinal cord injuries when it comes to fish oils, because there's so many secondary health complications that fish oils will address, skin being one of them.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks, Tom. I have a couple other questions since we just have a few more minutes left, and then maybe a little story to share. But so sorry, I know like it's off topic, but nutrition related. Low blood pressure. So, I mean, I'm a quadriplegic. My blood pressure is bouncing around. Like my normal blood pressure is about 80/50. When it's like in the morning, it's 60/40. And then I get AD on a daily basis, like probably 6 times a day. Then it's going to like 130/90, right? So do you have like nutrition options that maybe can regulate that?
I was just talking to a naturopathic doctor last week about this, because I have a client with that low blood pressure as well. There's not a lot in terms of low blood pressure, like other than, sitting up slowly so you don't get the dizziness. And really there's some tinctures out there made like herbal tinctures you can get from a herbal clinic or any kind of, herbal apothecary, maybe out in Vancouver or BC. That can help really support like the integrity of your arteries, blood vessels. That's really about it. Him and I are going back and forth on this. There's really not a lot. If it's high blood pressure, there's lots I can help with low blood pressure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast with SCI.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying licorice extract right now. My naturopath recommended for me to try that. I haven't really noticed it, although I'm not good at taking things consistently.
Consistency is so key with anything when it comes to nutrition, whether it's your actual food diet, supplements, tinctures. Yeah, you got to do it every day.
Yeah. And one thing that was interesting is that I've sort of experienced just as of recent, and I'm still going through, is I developed pain a few years ago in my GI tract. And I've been to every medical doctor, and health-wise, they all said I was fine, like there's nothing wrong, with me or that they knew of. And, I'm also aging as a woman with spinal cord injury, and I've been in a chair myself for almost 22 years. And anyways, decided to go to a naturopath and did like the food sensitivity, found out I'm allergic to dairy and eggs. And I'm testing out potatoes right now and bananas. So this is like, so I've just started it this month. I know for sure dairy is a trigger for me. And I've only had I still had pain, but only 4 days out of the month of pain. And now cutting out potatoes and bananas, so far I've had no pain at all. And, it's so crazy that it takes so long and it's all just food related,
So we have, as soon as you get a spinal cord injury, digestion's compromised. And then with aging, for anybody, including SCI, your digestive system slows down in terms of your production of stomach acid, digestive enzymes. So that on top of SCI, you're going to have more and more issues, whether it be digestion, bowel issues as you age. So the best thing is to really pay attention to what you eat and your reaction to it. And if you see a pattern of certain foods causing it, whether it be gut issues, pain, bloating, gas, or headaches or rashes, cut it out for a while and see if it makes a difference.
Yeah.
We are more sensitive to foods. Like a lot of stuff that I used to be able to eat pre-injury, I cannot touch now. My body just doesn't want it. So Just really pay attention to what you're eating and how you're feeling.
Yeah, and that was the other thing too, and I think Tom mentioned this earlier, is they found that I had an overgrowth of candida in my intestine, so I had to go off. I went on the Citradel kind of cleanse vitamin thing, and then went, no sugar, right? But what I found when I had the no sugar is I think I really rely on sugar a lot for blood pressure and salt. So when I was cutting out sugar, not only was I really craving it, but I really felt dizzier than normal.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, and I'm one. What was that, Joanne? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Partly withdrawal and partly like not getting the boost for your blood pressure for sure.
Right. So one of the things that he kind of mentioned was the insulin. And so I was wondering if maybe, what was it, chromium that you said, or that helped with the...
Yeah, if you have low blood pressure, for you, no.
Oh, okay.
If you don't want to take it, it could actually drop your blood pressure more.
Okay.
And insulin, so no. And your blood sugars, no. Nope, not for you.
Okay, okay. Okay, good. Okay, is there other things that I can like regulate my insulin better?
You just want to keep it stable. So you just want to make sure you have protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that when you eat any kind of carbohydrate, it's got lots of fiber. So whether it's a fruit or lots of vegetables, but it's got to be whole grain pasta, whole grain bread. Everything's got to be like whole grain, nothing white. The importance is to keep your blood sugars and insulin stable. So skipping meals is a big no-no. Any kind of refined thing, big no-no. Fast processed food, an absolute no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a good breakfast eater, so.
You need to eat protein for breakfast, okay? So protein shake or some almond butter on a piece of whole grain toast, eggs, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to sort of unmute everybody. We got just a couple minutes left, but if anyone has any comments, now is your last chance.
I have something.
Patty, sure, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, that was Marnie.
Oh, Marnie. Oh, yeah. Marnie, sorry.
I don't know, again, if you talked about it, but I've had 2 pressure sores that had surgery before on the same location. But sometimes I notice my skin, it kind of looks like plasticky. Have you ever heard of that before?
Well, your skin's only ever 80% of what its original integrity was. So it will be slightly different color, maybe more pinky or whitey. And it will be a different texture than the rest of your skin. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it's just a normal thing.
Totally normal.
Yeah. The other thing I really think has helped UTIs and lessening those is D-mannose, and also just like cutting out all pops or sugary juices and stuff.
They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, D-mannose, for some people, it's incredible how quickly it can reduce infection. Was there somebody else on the phone there?
Patty, can you hear me? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I was going to ask anything for us ladies that are getting older and starting to do perimenopause or menopause. Any food suggestions for hot flashes?
So again, like we tend to gain a lot of weight, period, with SCI, and then when you get into perimenopause, menopause, any woman is prone to, again, increase in weight. So watch your calories for sure. Get rid of all the sugar, refined stuff. You might want to consider taking things like primrose oil and other like borage, things like that, which can help reduce hot flashes. And you might want to reduce red meat, alcohol, spicy foods can set off any kind of symptom of any kind of menopause. So again, really pay attention to what might be setting off sweats or any kind of hot flash, but red meat, alcohol, and spicy foods are definite ones. Reduce your calories, reduce those grains. Like I said, try and keep it down to 1 if you find you're gaining weight. And there's some great natural supplements out there by a Canadian naturopath that can help reduce some symptoms as well. And she has all the herbal stuff in there that's recommended. Lorna Vanderhoog is the name of the naturopath, and she has great female products for perimenopause and menopause. So I would go to her, and if you're having a lot of symptoms, consider taking those supplements. I've guinea pigged a lot of her stuff, and I find it remarkably good. So,
oh, well, fantastic. And
yeah,
that's good.
Her supplements are all like women-based issues. That's what she puts her research into. She does a lot of the Canadian talk shows. She's really well known. And I think her stuff is fabulous. Like whenever I do research of what a woman going through menopause needs, and then you look at her supplements, they're all in there. So she's great.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, Terry.
I hear her.
I don't know if she's there, Tom.
Oh, okay. Lori,
I'm here. Go ahead, Tom.
okay. I was just interested in the 3 issue foods for women with menopause, and they constitute a favorite meal of mine. And I'm wondering about their digestion and the effect on a proper absorption and those kinds of things, if there is any. Particularly the East Indian kind of spices and the lentils and beans and things that come with them.
Okay, sorry. So what was the question?
Well, I'm a big fan of East Indian spices and ingredients, and I've been known to have a glass of red wine at the same time. I'm hoping that these aren't contraindicated with good skin health.
No, I mean the red wine, if you enjoy it. Good antioxidants in there. And as far as the East Indian food, like the lentils, fantastic fiber, protein, and the spices are great. As long as you can tolerate them, go for it. Enjoy it.
Great, thanks.
Skip the naan.
Oh, no.
That's the best part.
Or once in a while is a treat, right? I agree. I know. Once in a while, not every week.
Rather than white rice, I'll have my brown rice.
There you
go. See, compromise.
Anybody else? Final last comments? We're good. Joanne? Oh, was that Dylan?
No, I just said thanks.
Oh, thanks, Bert.
Thanks.
Joanne, just then the last thing. Where can we find you if we wanted any personalized service or plan?
So my website, my company is fruitfulelements.com. So if you just go to Fruitful Elements, that's my company name, and you can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. So it was a great, fabulous presentation.
Great questions.
Yeah, thank you everybody for participating. And if anyone has anything that they can share with the rest of the peers in the province, please send it my way to add in my newsletter. I'd really appreciate it. So thank you so much to Joanne.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Gary. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you.